Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Trap Pearl Soap Company and Rolls Gear, and you can find all of our old episodes at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob, and it's the new year, so Randy and I talked about not resolutions, but the goals that we have for this year, as well as did we accomplish the goals we had for last year. And on top of that, we give you a couple little, life hacks for traveling, especially if you're doing it on your company's dime. So we hope that you enjoy that. Like I said, if you want to support our podcast, one of the big things we're asking for is ideas for events that we can do for you guys. We want to try to make some entertaining events for you guys to participate in, especially if you're in the area. And so you can hit us up through Facebook, Instagram, on the page, bjjshow.com. There's a submission form to do that, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And we're facing another year, a brand new year, in fact. One that everybody's been looking forward to, I feel, but everybody keeps forgetting that shit doesn't magically change as soon as it hits January 1st. We're still facing a lot of the same issues that we were facing on January 31st, in fact. But
yeah, it's COVID doesn't look at the date and be like, oh shit, I gotta back off. It's 2022. I've never looked at the New Year as some magical day. I have fun with the festivities, New Year's Eve, hanging out. I hung out with my girlfriend yesterday, is today the 1st? No, 2 days ago. That's how little I care about the New Year. Hung out with her on New Year's Eve, just kind of, had some champagne, a little bit of beer, we watched the Nashville one. I don't like the New York one. They always have shitty artists on the New York one. But that was just kind of, I get into that. But other than that, nothing changes for me in the new year, man. It's the same shit I've been doing every other day of the year before. I'm just going to continue doing it for years to come until my body can't do it anymore. So
I hear you there. I mean, I think a lot of it was some people maybe were this year, especially they're looking for like some closure to just all the dumb shit that's been going on. But of course, the final punch in the stomach was Betty White passing away.
Oh man, that was so sad, dude.
That was, and I feel especially bad because she's like, everybody come celebrate my 100-year anniversary, 100-year birthday with me in 2 weeks. So that just kind of made it like even worse.
Two epic personalities died within a very short amount of time, right at the end of 2021. So John Madden died too. So you got John Madden and Betty White, two people that just seem timeless. That's I don't know anybody that didn't love Betty White.
Probably terrorists, man. I bet. I bet even they love her. God dang. But I mean, it's so I think we talked a little bit about this before the show. When the new year rolls around, I think it's kind of good to look back at the goals you had versus the goals you want for this year, not resolutions. And I think you actually had a pretty unique perspective on the resolution thing based on your experience with people and their resolutions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't particularly care for the word resolutions, right? It shouldn't take January 1 of a brand new year for you to make some kind of life-changing strive. And I've never met anybody in my entire life that's ever made a life-changing decision and stuck with it because they decided to do it January 1. At the end of the day, and I think you'll agree with me because you're the same way, and you can talk about, some things you've been doing here before the new year recently that you've been stated for yourself is a prime example of what I'm talking about. And that is if you want to make a change in your life, then like today, right now, or tomorrow, if there's like some kind of logistics reason why it has to be tomorrow, is the best time. It doesn't have to be some special occasion, January 1. It doesn't have to be your birthday, like right now is the perfect time to start, because if you put it off until something like that, then you're just making excuses and you're not going to stick with it.
Yeah, it's I think it's more or less like I hoped like I would just wake up and be like, oh yeah, this is the way it needs to be, dude. It's been like it's been pretty rough. So I haven't consistently lifted weights in years. I mean, years. Like I think the last time I actually consistently lifted weights more than like 2 to 3 weeks at a time was back when Brian had TFTC in Anger, and we had to do like a lifting routine that like a little box workout like every night after class, so like 2 or 3 times a week. Not every night, I say,
That's
but
going back too. That's
yeah,
going
that's
back.
it's going way back. I mean, like before that was like wrestling in high school and shit like that, but um, I just kind of wanted to see what it would do, and not so much like I have to lift weights. I'm like I'm just curious to see what happens if I lift weights, and um, strength, yeah, cool. I get stronger. That's dope and all. But I will say the one thing I've noticed, and I was talking with a black belt I trained with um, when I was in Afghanistan. He was saying that like the more some shoulder exercise you do actually deal with kind of the nerve issues that I've had with my ring and pinky fingers go numb from time
Ooh,
to time, and that's
that's
just yeah, I've talked to the doctor, just like, well, just bad shoulders. So he told me a couple exercises like face pulls and stuff like that, and they've actually
yeah,
it's
yeah.
come back, and I haven't really had that many issues with it since I've been lifting consistently. So I honestly, if like that's enough of a reason to stick with it, so I can feel all four of my fingers when I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, that's yeah. Well, I mean, but that's the thing, and I gotta say, I mean, and I'm probably jinxing myself by saying this, but I've been doing jujitsu for a long time, probably about the same amount of time you have, and I've been really fortunate that I haven't had too many debilitating injuries. I'm not gonna say I've never been hurt. We all get hurt,
Oh yeah,
and but they've been pretty minor for the most part. I mean, we've talked about injuries before. I think the worst was my intercostal tear I did in my ribs. That was the longest and the most painful, but I mean, comparatively to what I've seen other people go through, that's not really that bad. Um, ACLs, rotator cuffs, torn labrums, things like that. Have been really fortunate, and I'm saying it like that for a reason. It's not that I'm some invincible superhero. I think I've just been really fortunate. But I think something else that plays into it is I have consistently worked out throughout my entire jiu-jitsu journey with resistance exercises, with plyometrics, with core stability stuff. And I think that that's really important because, like you said, getting stronger is always cool. Like, who doesn't want to get stronger? That's really beneficial. But at the end of the day, when you work out, when you lift, when you incorporate fitness into your jiu-jitsu regimen, you're making yourself more injury resistant because you're strengthening up the ligaments, the tendons, the connective tissue. It makes you more durable for your sport too, and I think that's really important, especially for the guys like us that are in it for the long haul. I mean, we're going to be old men rolling around on the mats, right? And so it's important to have some muscle mass that kind of helps facilitate that, and it prevents things like osteoporosis. And there's all these different studies on why lifting is extremely important for active adults. So definitely that's good that you're doing that. I do the same thing 3 times a week. I know we talked about it before we started recording, but 3 times a week is what I strive for, just in addition to the 4 days a week of jiu-jitsu. So
I think something like a kind of a byproduct of it too, since I want to say like people who this might be a weird kind of like if you do the Venn diagram type thing. I think a lot of people who do jiu-jitsu kind of have and stick with it and love it,
yeah,
kind of have addictive personalities in a way.
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
So like I was laughing about it because I was thinking about the episode of House where House like quits fucking taking Vicodin or whatever, Percocet, and then he just focuses completely on making like food in his kitchen because he doesn't like so it's like because I've been like reading stuff about like, oh my god, if I do this and this, then it'll help like this area. Like it's almost like going to YouTube videos and watching just like guard pass videos and like, oh, I could do that and that's going to improve
yeah.
this guard pass. Like I find it just kind of funny in a way that you take one thing that you already can feel the benefit from, and then you kind of focus in on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I've done a lot of different programs too. I mean, I've done the Windler 531, which is pretty standard, and the strong lifts 5 by 5 done all these different ones. Juggernaut is one of my favorites. If you like if you want high volume work, but then you got to incorporate recovery. You be very meticulous about your recovery because that shit break you down. You'll roll like crap. So Juggernaut actually just came out with a new program. I just started talking about lifting. That's actually specific to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So apparently he
Really?
worked with Romulo Barral as like his personal trainer, leading one of Barral's tournaments he did. And so he's got this. It's an app on your phone. It's like $20 a month, which for what you're getting to me was a no brainer. So I'm doing that now, but it does everything. It's pretty awesome. So that's what I just started doing. Um, it seems pretty interesting. It's got lifting incorporated into it, but it also has a lot of core stuff. It has some mobility, prehab, rehab stuff in there. Talks about the face pulls you talked about. Those are great for shoulders. I do banded face pulls because I don't have the pulley system in my garage, but it still
Yeah.
works. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of programs out there. We say all this to say, like, just because you start a program in the beginning of the new year doesn't mean it's a New Year's resolution. If that's the timing in which you find something that works for you, then you should start it right now. Like, if you're doing jiu-jitsu, you should do some kind of exercise. Don't think that jiu-jitsu is the end all be all of conditioning and strength and all that. I mean, I see plenty of people that are mangled and out of shape that are on the mats and have been doing it for years. You have to do more. So
Yeah, especially when you say the long haul thing. So, you know, we're not, like I said, we're not beating the shit out of you guys for wanting to do something in the new year, or just want you to maintain it if you do it. And I mean, I'm the worst person to not take my own advice, so I'm really just just preaching and not doing it. Do as I say, not as I do, type of thing. But did you? I know last year we were pretty restricted on the type of things we want to accomplish as far as goals go. Did you meet any of the goals or most of the goals, or like where'd you scale on the goals you had for this past year and how many you met?
I feel like professionally and then in my fitness, I met a lot of the goals that I kind of set out for myself prior. So, I achieved a lot of PRs in the weight room, which is great. But I mean, I'm not a big, strong guy. I'm not trying to compete in powerlifting or anything. So, but I did meet some of the numbers I was aiming for and actually exceeded a couple of them. So I was happy about that. Professionally, definitely kind of exceeded kind of some of my expectations. And a lot of that is just because I was forced to work a lot more than I planned on. So, it's just like jiu-jitsu. The more time you put on the mat, the more you accomplish. The professional world's the same way. The more time you put in your job and all that, eventually things tend to start falling your way. Jiu-jitsu, I mean, you know how the journey is, man. I've been a brown belt now for 3 years and some change, 3.5 years, something like that. I got 3 stripes, but I mean, stripes don't really mean a lot to me. It's just kind of showing that you're at least progressing in some fashion, but that's about it. So, yeah, if I really narrow it down and look at my game has progressed a lot, and I'm happy with the progression there. I've had to work on my guard a lot. I didn't, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but some people say that you're either a guard passer or a guard player. I don't always agree with that. I mean, obviously there's some gray in there. You got to have both to some element, but I would say I always leaned more toward being a guard passer than a guard player myself. Um, so I for the whole entire year I played a lot of guard, just trying to build that up, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress there. So yeah, I mean, I think I've met and exceeded some, and the others, it's just kind of fell victim to the jiu-jitsu journey of you don't progress until people say you progress. So how about you?
No, I totally get that. Because of the whole, like lack of training thing, I think something I was very happy with. My goal was to, I know when in certain situations in jiu-jitsu, if I don't have an answer, I fall back into some really terrible habits,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really, really bad. I don't know why. Like my body's just like, oh, just try guillotine him. It's fine. Just guillotine him from here. It's the best thing you can do. No, but
Yeah.
my goal was not to do stuff like that. Was to kind of be like, kind of figure out a way to keep people in a position and then kind of give myself a second to think.
Yeah.
So that was like a big goal of mine that I accomplished. And kind of the opposite of you, I played too much guard, which puts me right back in bad situations I'll have answers for, and I do bad habits. So I was looking more to
Right.
play top smash game
Yeah.
because I gotta get back in there with the big guys and not let them smash me. I have to smash them instead. So not doing dumb shit as much, and smashing was pretty much my goal for this last year. I feel like I met most of it. I didn't train as much as I wanted to. So like you said, like I don't even know, like unless somebody says you're doing a lot better than you were. Um,
Yeah.
I don't get that. So but
Yeah.
professionally, yeah, I hit what I wanted to do. Had some special come up at work. They needed somebody with expertise in which I so happened to have, which was dope, and got to work on something kind of cool.
Yeah.
And um That was really it. I think kind of like personality relationship wise, like making more time, rearrange my priorities. The
Yeah,
podcast is back on track. Like it's pretty good, man. So I mean, I think last year we at least me myself or myself, I hit some stuff I want to do. And then for the podcast, we've been more consistent than we have for a good
I agree.
while, which is good.
Yeah, I agree. And you keyed in on something else that's really important too, is personal relationships. I think toward the end of 2021, I really started kind of noticing the work-life balance and the importance of quality time with family and friends and stuff like that. And I'm still working to improve upon that. Work sometimes doesn't really give you the leeway, but I'm getting better at figuring out where I can control some of that, because I don't try to reduce the amount of jiu-jitsu that I do, because jiu-jitsu is really important to my life. I'm trying to increase that, and martial arts is a staple in my life and has been for since I was 12. But work has definitely, since I took over a new role, which is one of the goals I accomplished in 2021, it started to people at work, you know how this is, and I'm sure a lot of listeners do it. When you get put in a new position and you're doing well at your job, people just keep throwing things onto your pile, right? They just keep adding to the stack, and they're like, oh, he can handle it. He's doing well. He's got this. And I don't think they do it with malicious intent. I think it's just kind of it's a sign that you're doing well at what you're doing. And so people want you to do more. And so it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing if you don't speak up for yourself and kind of put some kind of barrier there. And it's easy to just keep taking on more and more because it feels good, because you're getting the compliment of being given more responsibility. And I feel like I fell victim to that pretty hard in 2021. And it got to the point where, man, I was putting in 115 hours every 2 weeks at work. And that's not even including jujitsu training. So then what time did I have at home with family and loved ones? Next to nothing. And so I started realizing the effects that had on people I care about. And so really important. And if here's honestly the truth to people out there that are workaholics like me, and it comes back on what you said, addictive personality, right? The truth of the matter is, you think you're going to miss out on shit if you cut back on work. You think you're going to affect your success. You're really not. If you find a good work-life balance, it's actually the opposite. You get better at work because you get better at being efficient with your time, and you have better energy. You're more recovered. Recovery is not just physical, it's mental and emotional too, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's something going into 2022. If we talk about goals for the future, that's one of the things I want to work on, not as a resolution because I've already started doing it, but just something that I want to commit to is getting better at the work-life balance, really enjoying life and not living to work. Does that make sense?
That does. That really does. It is difficult because just like jiu-jitsu, you don't want to you don't want to show mediocrity. You don't want to just be like, it's good enough, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you want to consistently give good good output, good, help your buddies out, give the team what they need, stuff like that. Mentor people, if you're in a mentorship type role or a leadership type role, you want to do all of that. And then, you come home, you're like, oh shit, hey, what do you want to do? So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
for me, something that's helped out a lot is dedicating one night a week to making sure I'm giving people who need my undivided attention. No phones, no like, oh shit, the guy from Dust has posted up a new video, like that type of shit. Speaking of which, did you see him get shot a couple times by that guy?
Yeah, and then he posted a video trying to debunk all his failures, and dude, that guy's. But
I
actually, that's a good idea what you brought up though. One day a week. I know Brad does that. Coach Brad, he gives Thursdays his date night, so he
oh
always makes
nice.
sure he's got coverage for Thursday. And congratulations to him up, by the way. He just proposed to his now fiance.
Oh,
So
congrats to Brad.
yeah, I mean, I would like to say on behalf of everybody else, took long enough, but we're all happy for him.
Well,
So
I was gonna say like, yeah, the thing was too is like one night a week I can do whatever the fuck else I want. It's pretty good. It's pretty good compromise, but it still
yeah,
ends up being more than one night a week, not by anybody else's decision but my own. So
no, that's awesome.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good idea. I like that. What are the goals you got pushing forward?
I gotta continue the strength thing, man. I can't go back to not having, what is it, like mobility in my fucking fingers and shoulders and elbows and stuff. I'm spoiled, man. Like it's been helping my back out too. So like
Nice.
I'm sleeping on a shitty mattress right now, It's not my home mattress, so whatever. But my back hasn't been bugging me like it has been, so that's kind of nice. And then I know we keep talking about this, but I feel like this is the year now that like things are starting to settle down. We have to do some sort of event for the podcast in North Carolina, whether
Yeah,
it's an open mat, whether it's a rollathon, whether it's I don't know, get together, something. Like
yeah, I'm
I
down with
want to
that.
do something.
Yeah, yeah, I think that'd be cool. Tag team grappling tournament.
Still got to do that. We still got to figure that out. That was like
That's
I
so
have the
awesome.
rule set. We're gonna rip it off from the German guy, and
Yeah,
we're gonna run with it. So
yeah. What to think of something? I like the idea of an event first though, because that'd be easier to do than put together the whole tournament right off the gate. So that'd be
yeah,
cool. That'd be awesome.
word. I think that. What about you? You have any other specific goals, maybe for us or just in
Yeah, I mean,
general?
so for us as a podcast, I like the idea of some kind of meetup, some kind of like roll-a-thon. That sounds pretty cool. That'd be easy to put together. I'm sure Brad wouldn't care if we used TFTC for it, if we did it like on a Saturday or something like that,
Yeah,
where there's no other classes that it would affect. We can find somewhere else if we need to. I think I'd like to get back to getting some guests on, find some good guests, uh, maybe expand the memorabilia side of things and just keep pushing this thing forward, man.
yeah. I need to get some more patches made as well. Get some. We do have T-shirts. I think, like you said, it's time to design another T-shirt,
Yeah.
and
Now,
then
speaking
we'll
of new stuff, look at the coffee mug.
coffee. That is dope, man. I love that.
Coffee and Kimura. That's what life's all about.
That is.
Um, and then for me, I think individually, I mean, with jiu-jitsu, I think it's going to be continue to develop my guard. Uh, here's the funny thing. I got so caught up coaching for so long that I did a lot of coach roles and it kind of was detrimental to my game for a little bit. And I've kind of broken free of that. But what I found is that I still am way too nice of a guy in the mat. So I'll let submissions go. Like I'll isolate a limb and I'll just let it go. I won't even get the tap. I'll just let it go. And it becomes a bad habit when you do that repeatedly. Like you got to work for the tap, right?
Yeah.
So I think one of my goals, and I've already started incorporating it, is to really to get more submissions, which sounds stupid, but in my specific situation, I need to make sure that I finish the submissions and not get in the habit of letting them go because that's not a good habit to be in. So polishing up the finishes a little bit, tighten them down, and make sure I get the tap on them. I think that's gonna be one of my goals pushing forward. And then, like we talked about, more quality time with people I care about. Those are my goals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's the interesting part about being a coach is that, if you wanna you kind of take your self-improvement and put it on the back burner a bit because, it's cool and all to beat the shit out of your students, which I joke, that's not really that cool. But at the same time, like, there's certain things that you neglect for yourself. So that's kind of why I was joking, like, dude, it's kind of cool just to be a student again
Yeah,
because I was
yeah,
running that club in Germany for a few years and getting active feedback, getting beat up, like that's something I'm like really, I know it sounds terrible. That's something I missed because then like you get beat up so bad, you're like, fuck, I don't have an answer for that. Where's the answer?
right.
And then that goes back into what I was talking about before. Like you go to YouTube, you figure this out. Like,
Yep.
it's cool because now you're working on yourself as opposed to like sitting there stressing like fucking Billy can't give me a proper ankle lock. What's he doing wrong? So I'm just gonna let him ankle lock me a few times and
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I mean, I teach so much to law enforcement now that it's kind of the coaching is different. I still coach on Fridays, but it also depends on who shows up because Friday is such a mixed bag. It's the end of the week. Most people have already kind of trained out. But I get a decent group, pretty consistent group. So, I'll coach a couple techniques, then we kind of just get a roll on. So
yeah.
most of the class rolling, but I used to coach a lot more. I used to coach 2-3 times a week at TFTC. But because law enforcement, my profession has changed. Now I'm predominantly a trainer, in the training unit, running the training unit really. it's been just nonstop coaching there, which is great. And it's rewarding, but it's just different teaching that versus teaching a traditional jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, teaching jiu-jitsu classes are a lot more fun, but that's because you've got paying customers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. You got customers that pay to go and they have more dedication, and you got people in law enforcement that are being paid to show up, and it's like pulling teeth to get some of them to participate. Um, so, but anyway, that's kind of my thing. So I agree with you. I think coaching sometimes it really is a sacrifice. You're sacrificing for your students. You're sacrificing a lot for your students. Sometimes it's to the detriment of your own progress. So we'll see what 22 has in store. I'm excited about it. Hopefully this stupid COVID thing keeps going the way it's going, with getting weaker with like this Omicron. I wish we'd stop freaking out about it, but that is the world we live in.
That's what we're doing right now. I just want to go. I just want to travel more without, and they don't serve alcohol except in, I know this is kind of my running theme, but they don't serve alcohol anywhere except business and first class now on most airlines. That's bullshit. Like
that is bullshit. Man, people in coach need alcohol more. We're like sitting next to some fucking losers, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm, present company, like for myself. Yeah. I'm definitely thinking, I'm like, shit, I should have upgraded. And I'm going to give you guys a little life hack for our listeners and friends. If they're like, hey, there's upgraded seats, you'd be like, hey, how much is it? I mean, you have to be willing to spend the money, but 9 times out of 10, I've never had to pay for it.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about when you're actually at your gate and they're like, hey, there's upgraded seats.
Well, you're in the plane and they're like, oh, we got all the, like, people try to sit in these seats, like, no, they're upgraded seats, like, they're $250. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here like in the window next to like, another bigger person. Cause I mean, this isn't called big jiu-jitsu because I'm 5'1". Let's put it that way.
I'm sitting right here, man. I'm sitting right
here. You're like 5'2" right now. I'm kidding, man.
5'5".
Nah, I'm kidding. Jesus, man. But so I'd be like, hey, can I please move up there because I would like to not have a bout of sciatica or something just leaning up against, like, all crushed up. And I get up there and everybody's asleep or whatever, and the flight attendant looks at me and they'll go, all right, I'm going to pretend to run your card, okay? And then they just, not either it happens for everybody who's willing to spend, or this face gets more than
it's
it
gotta
deserves.
be the face, bro.
It's gotta be.
I'll try it though. I mean, so
if you're out 250, that's not my fault though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know that's how it'll go for me. They're like, oh, that guy's an asshole. Like, no, mini, you stay back in the corner. It's you don't have to give up as much.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'll pay it, and then they're like, okay, cool, let me see your card. Like, fuck, it's
damn it, Rob got it.
God dang it, Rob. No, I think you can pull it off, man. You have the nice personality. I think that comes into effect because flight attendants deal with a lot of fucking assholes, man.
I'll have Brittany do it. She's got a friendlier face than I.
That works out.
Yeah.
When you might be out 500, bro. I'm saying it's not my fault. Don't blame me, but that's my little life hack there for that.
I gotta go down to Georgia in again. I said I'd never go back to that fucking state. Going back in what is it, March? So I gotta go to FLETC. So when I fly down there, I'll try it out, see if it works.
Dope. That'd be awesome.
I'll give them the government card. If no, I won't do that. They get pissed.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they don't like that shit.
What the hell is a $250 charge for? Yeah, no, I understand that completely.
Dude, they flipped out the last time I traveled on the government dime. I didn't realize that I could select my seats by doing this different process. It was different than what I expected. So I like went back in to select my seats, and it charged me like $25 to select my seats because I waited so long to do it.
Yeah.
And so it charged it to the government card that I made the reservations on. So I get back from my trip and I get pulled in the office and they're like, hey, what's with this $25 seat upgrade? I was like, it wasn't an upgrade. I just selected seats. I was still sitting in a shitty coach. I didn't do anything. They're like, you charged us $25. You didn't get permission for that $25. Like, oh, we're gonna split hairs on $25. Let me go in my wallet real quick and hand you freaking $25.
Just pee on my page. Shit.
Are you fucking kidding me? You just dropped like $300 in this plane ticket, but you're worried about $25. Yeah. And it's not even coming out of your bank account. Anyway,
and
I
and you
digress.
and you get per diem too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the way the army used to be, so this was back in 2013. We had a TDY, which for the listeners is like a temporary assignment. So it was like 3 weeks, and of all the places they sent us to Vegas for some training. I was like, that's kind of cool. But so one of the guys I was
Sorry,
with,
my cat was jumping in. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you're fine. So so one of the guys I was with, we go into Caesar's Palace, of course, because we're staying out there, and he's like, "Hey, Rob, let me show you a little trick I learned. Like because you get per diem, and you pull out all your per diem at once, and then that's just you're spending money for the rest of the time, right? So 3 weeks in Vegas, per diem from Vegas for the Department of Defense is like $170 a day.
Damn.
He pulled out 3 weeks worth of money. I think there was a limit out of an ATM in Caesar's Palace on a government travel card. So you kind
Wow.
of wonder the conversation that was had when we got back. Not by me. I
Yeah.
didn't do it. I'm like, I don't think that's, I wasn't even like, I was still I was just sergeant. I was like, I don't think that's the right thing to do, sir. We shouldn't be doing that. And sure
Well,
enough, I was right. Don't
for
do
me,
shit.
the per diem where you stand to do it right
Yeah.
is, for me, that we have to do, like, there's this website we have to go to and it gives you the rates for whatever city you're going to, the average going rate for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Of course, you can't include alcohol into the cost. You just follow
Yeah.
whatever the daily recommendations are. And so what I've always found is the breakfast, if you do it right, stay at a decent hotel, they should have an okay breakfast
Yep.
that's free. So now whatever that is, like, usually I think breakfast is like $8 or $9 on average. Usually when I look at the rates per day, that adds up. Now you take that money and put it towards your alcohol. That's like, in your mind, you can't actually physically do it, right? But in
Yeah.
your mind, that's what that's for. And so now you're going like completely free on this trip. You just have to sacrifice a little bit on the breakfast side. You can't go out and go to some fancy first watch breakfast place every morning. Otherwise, okay, that's what your money's going to. But if you do it right, your hotel should have a decent breakfast.
Yeah.
And then now that's like $8 a day for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And that's going to be more than enough to pay for your alcohol unless you're a lush. So that's
Yeah.
kind of my little hack. But
That's a good one too. Like
yeah,
steep peanut butter sandwiches or whatever. I mean,
I mean,
don't do
it's,
that.
or even lunch. So I made out like a bandit on the one trip to GST. I mean, you have to do a final, so you still have to spend the money. But I was able to eat nicer and do cooler things on our trip because the Gracies, whenever you do a Gracie Survival Tactics class, your lunch is like a 20-minute break. Like, go grab some water, hit the bathroom, eat a protein bar, and then get back out here in the mat. So, which is different in law enforcement. I'm sure it was the same for you. Usually lunch is like an hour and a half
Yeah.
for most training things you go to. Like, go out, find something to eat, take your time, and then come back. 20 minutes for the Gracies, man. 20 minutes. So you buy protein bars, you bring them with you, and that's your, I would bring a protein bar and a bag of nuts, mixed nuts, and that was my lunch. And so we were getting like $12-13 afforded to us for lunch on per diem. And so now breakfast and lunch were $0 because of the way it was going down. Our hotel provided a pretty badass breakfast,
Nice.
especially when they found that we were cops. They were hooking us up pretty good. And so they gave us so much food. We were taking extra food and giving it out to the guys at the training because we're like, I don't even want all this fucking food. So, breakfast and lunch, I mean, that's $20 a day for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? That's a decent amount to put toward alcohol or whatever else. So
Yeah,
if you do it right, you can make out with per diem.
you can. And that's our life hack. That's our other life hack.
That's the goal for people in 2022.
Scam
Take
the
advantage
system.
of your per diem.
That's right. You don't
Anyway,
you don't need a $15 lunch every day.
no,
You
no.
don't. Dinner especially. So
Dinner, you can hook it up on dinner, man. You go to the
oh
damn
dude.
steakhouse and you do it right.
I don't know if I could eat steak. Well, I could eat steak every night, but I don't know if my body
Yeah.
would enjoy me eating steak every night.
Steak and potatoes could be my only meal every single day.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So before we end, anything you want to leave our friends and listeners with aside from stuff we've already talked about?
Nah, man, I'm just excited for what's to come in 2022. Who knows? RIP Betty White. That's all I got.
R.I.P. Betty White. What a legend. Yeah, we'll start the planning processes for a roll-a-thon or some event. So I hope you listeners and friends are paying attention. So we could probably just poach guests from there too. Be like, come here, you got 5 minutes, let's talk real quick.
Yeah, man, it'd be fun.
This is a break. All right, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's been the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And we'll catch you guys next time.